Last week I talked about what I felt was one of the weakest entries in the Mario Party series, so I figured might as well just keep that ball rolling for a bit and talk about Mario Party 6. A game that I was actually kind of surprised to find out is actually very well received. In fact, from what I can tell, it's one of the most liked, and for a good chunk of people is actually considered the best in the series. Before I bought it for my collection a couple years ago, I didn't think it'd have that good of a reputation. The GameCube era, the start of Mario Party's true downfall. After 3, the series was trash and all that awesome bad stuff that you hear people talk about over time. So to come back to this game after 10 or so years, it was a pleasant reminder that no, it wasn't all doom and gloom at this point. In fact, I can easily see why 6 is a lot of people's favorites, and after really playing it again after all these years, it's up there. Hell, it might even be equal to 2 and 4 for me. But enough of my rambling. What does 6 do to earn its high reputation? Well, much like 4 and 5, there is a specific theming which this time around is light versus dark, I think. Either way, this theme plays a major part in this game's design. The hosts Bright and Twyla end up having a feud, so you know, solve it through board games apparently, which becomes the main gimmick of Party Mode. Remember Horrorland and Mario Party 2 where every 3 turns, the time would turn from day to night, and how it would have a major effect on the board events? Pretty cool and interesting mechanic, right? Well, Mario Party 6 pretty much says, hey, we like that idea and we're gonna run with it as far as we possibly can, because that's 6's main gimmick. And you know what, it worked in 2 well enough, and it works just as well here. Whether it's changing up the available paths you can take, changing how much stars cost, or on the one board Clockwork Castle can make things a mad dash to catch DK, or to do your best to get away from Bowser. It's really good stuff about making gameplay between the 2 cycles feeling completely different. This is also the first time Hudson Soft really tried to be a bit more creative in its board game design. Could be as simple as what you come to expect from traditional gameplay, but on say Snowflake Lake for example. Each character starts out with 5 stars and the name of the game is to ride chain chomps, and loot and pillage the other characters for their stars as much as possible. It was a much needed breath of fresh air after 5 feeling like it stripped away so many elements. Speaking of 5, the capsules make a return as a replacement for items, this time called orbs, and thankfully they didn't screw it up this time. Remember last week when I said I actually enjoyed the capsules? You have this game to thank for that. No more random capsule bullshit this time around. This time orbs revert back into how items in Mario Party used to work. You can buy them from shops again, or you can pick up random ones. And because you buy them up front now, you don't have to pay to use them. In fact, you might get some coins out of the deal. Though they still kept the option to throw orbs, but now they serve a much better purpose. Whenever you throw a yellow orb, you'll turn that space into your own space, and it will stay there until someone takes it over with their own orb, or a star appears there. And the red orbs, while not turning your space into yours, essentially acts as a one-time blockade that'll activate the moment someone passes it, and screws them over. That's dependent on the type of orb. I love this overhaul they did for the capsules. Not only did they make them feel like traditional items again, but also had a game-changing element, especially with the yellow ones. In the past, I'll admit I was always kind of a cheapskate with items, since I would rarely buy them to save up for a coin star at the end. But now, if I see a yellow orb, I'd buy it automatically, not caring which one it is. Being able to throw these little beauties and create your own character spaces that'll screw other players over for your benefit, but also giving you 5 coins instead of 3 if you land on it, it's addicting. It actually reminds me a lot of Monopoly when it comes to buying property. You're not buying park plays just because you want to charge people $35. You're buying them more just to make sure the other players can't have it. And that's my mentality here. I mean, sure, someone could override my space with their own yellow orb, but the idea of being able to create your own safe haven on the board, especially when you can manage to get a row of them set up, it's pure genius. Not only did they manage to fix one of the worst aspects of Mario Party 5, but managed to make it one of the best parts of 6. That's something to be respected right there, especially when they only had maybe a year's time of development. Like honestly, good job. That's not the only thing though that made a comeback. Now your stars are actually worth something again outside of gameplay, since now you can use them to buy items again. Granted, outside of Toadette and the board map, most of these items aren't worth purchasing, but still, it always feels good to know that what I do in the game can go towards extra goodies. And I mean, it was one of the best things about Mario Party 1. I'll never understand why they mostly dropped it after that game. Now, when it comes to story mode, it got a major revision, as this is the first time the team really tried a different approach. Instead of just being forced to play a single player version of Party Mode, this time around, it's just you navigating 3 exclusive linear boards with the goal being to beat and collect as many minigames as you can before you reach the end of the path. The catch is though, you can move as many times as you want, but if you roll past the end space, well, you just wasted your time and lose all the minigames you had collected, as well as any coins you have. Don't do that. If you don't have a slow mushroom to help you land on the final rare minigame space, do yourself a favor and call it quits so you can save what you earn, because having to redo this shit, it's annoying. In my opinion, again, this was an ingenious switch up from what came before. No more is there a boring slog through all the boards you would have played in party mode, just to earn those few elusive minigames you can only earn there. This time it's straight to the point, with your only priority being to collect as many minigames as possible as you play this game of chicken. And outside of Infernal Tower, if you have bad luck, these don't take long at all to get through. And by creating story mode, or solo mode as they labeled it here, they killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only did they streamline this mode for a much better single player experience, they also made it more meaningful since now you can easily get almost every minigame through solo. As much as I adore Mario Party 1 through 4, there's always been one element that has always been a royal pain in the ass, and that's the process of unlocking every minigame. Every time I ever booted up new save files for these games, it always felt like a lifetime before I would finally get that last minigame to actually pop up due to the random nature of selection. Here in solo mode, that aggravating process no longer exists. Once you collected that minigame, you never have to worry about it ever again, since there will never be repeats, and holy hell, that design choice was a fucking godsend, man. That's one aspect about Mario Party I tend to always dread. I enjoy unlocking minigames, but I hate having to play for hours on end just to get that final one. And the fact that I didn't have to worry about that process for a change, thank you so much. And as for the minigames themselves, I'd say they did a pretty good job. I wouldn't say the average is phenomenal, but there are a good amount here that stand out like Rocky Road, Granite Getaway, Jump the Gun, Daft Raft, Control Stick, Cannonball Fun. There's enough here to say that it's a good list. There is too the microphone minigames, but since I don't have that microphone add-on, it's tough for me to really comment on them. But from what I remember when I was younger, they weren't anything special. A cute gimmick, but that's all it ever was. Plus, I never appreciated having to move closer to my GameCube just to play a minigame. That was always annoying, I remember that much. But yeah, honestly, I have nothing but good things to say about 6. It might not have the retro nostalgia feel like 2 and 3 has, but as a whole, it doesn't need it. Mario Party 6 smashed it out of the park. It does so many things right and refines so many elements that make it a fresh experience that was desperately needed in 2004. After giving this game a shot again, I can confidently say this is one of my favorites, and will probably play just as much as I will 2 and 4 from now on. Don't sleep on this one just because it's part of the GameCube era.